Hiya, hiya. This is Joey Reynolds live from Florida. I figure if I use a walker, I'll get a sympathy vote. That's what the government ought to have one of these things, because they're crippled as shit. Glasses, hearing aids, walkers. Been in the rain so much, I got a rusty walker. I tell everybody that. Oh, come on. This is like ridiculous. The whole state of Florida is about, what is it, God's waiting room, they used to call it? Not that anymore. 300 people a day move here. 4,000 move out. That's what they don't tell you. Oh, man. Well, this is it. We're in Florida flying at half mast. How about that guy that does those home invasion commercials where he's got the beard underneath it? I think he owns a company and he does his own commercials. I don't know. We have so many players in this world. You can do just about anything like I'm doing here on video and still be watched. People will watch anything. They look at what they do when there's an accident on the highway. Everybody stops. We call it the Gawk Patrol. In LA, we used to do that. There was an accident on the other side of the road on 405, and we all would creep slowly as if we have never seen an accident because it's it's not on television. Do I get a good view here? I'm enlightened. Can you tell? Listen to me. I'm enlightened. I'm a prophet. If I could do this for a profit, I wouldn't be on the E-tube or whatever the hell this is called. YouTube, my tube. I have my tubes tied. All right, I'm sitting here thinking about a couple of things to talk to you about. First of all, let me put a couple of clips on my nipples so that I don't say anything offensive. I already did. Michelle Obama's brother, he's an idiot. Let's start with that. He's on television with he's a black guy and he's got a white wife. And they're talking about their kid in school who was getting an acting out history of the Underground Railroad, which was a way to get slaves out of the South. As a matter of fact, I worked in Wheeling, and the Underground Railroad was from Ohio across to the Wheeling Island, and then you go over to West Virginia. That was one of them. But this is history. And so he's complaining, and his wife, they're complaining that their kid had to hear these stories, and the teachers were acting them out, and they don't want to hear about the slaves and the slavery. You can't hurry love, and you surely can't change history. You can change history by doing something different at the present time. But whatever we did, and you can't shamefully. We did some things, and then other things we did that were pretty inventive. I'll tell you this: I know more about the roads in the Ukraine than I do here in Florida. I don't need a GPS to go to Dunbar. I know how to get there. But this is what we do. We learn as we go. We learn history and we learn geography from watching the news. That's where we learn it now, because these people are well traveled. They got portable cameras and microphones and news anchor that says, "Okay, thank you, David. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Jim. Thank you." Come on, just do your job, will you? Nobody sat around all day and said, "Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Joey." They don't do that at all. They just said, "Hey, your paycheck is your thanks." That's how that's your reward. You don't get an Academy Award or an Oscar or an Emmy or a Grammy or a Gimme. What you do is you get a paycheck at the end of but you got to work. See, the problem I'm having is I'm complaining that there's no work for people my age. Get that walker out. That's oh, man. See, the reason they don't want to hire people like me is because I know too much and I cost too much. The corporate life in America, get this now, the phone company AT&T was the best, most prestigious company on the planet at one time. What did they do? They put the cable under the ocean so that you could make phone calls to Europe and all over the world. What else did they do? They were one of the first. Incidentally, the Russians sent the Sputnik up, but AT&T was one of the first. They sent a satellite up, a commercial satellite. Now these guys, when they had, everybody had a phone just about in their house. They had a wire in every house. We didn't need to have a cable company. All they had to do was just switch all of those phone lines, which were copper then, before we had 5G and digital. If anybody ever understands what that means, the average person doesn't understand what that is. But the thing that we could do is educate people. And at that time, we accused AT&T of being a monopoly. So I did a record called Ma Bell. We call it Mother Bell, Ma Bell. I did a record called Ma Bell, You Got Me by the Calls. And it was a fun thing at that time. And I believe that we had a little bit of a monopolistic practice in that they owned the wire to everybody's house. Actually, it would have been a pretty good system. But they broke it up. They had the baby bells. You know, they had the Taco Bell, which was in Texas. All the various bells. The Liberty Bell was in Philadelphia. All the Bell telephones, they all broke them up. So now we have this company called Singular. And there was a phone company that bought the name AT&T. So they became AT&T by name, by brand. But ain't no AT&T. They got Singular with a new name. That's what they got. So what do? They bite off more than they can chew. They start DirecTV. They got the Wi-Fi, and they put that in everybody's house. And they got all these towers that they're broadcasting from, which the radio stations don't use anymore like they used to, because we kind of dismantled that by attrition. Good word, huh? So you know what we've done is we've turned the whole world over to a phone company. And so you got that phone like we're on right now, and it became a camera. It became a means of spying on each other too. The latest thing that I've seen is the U-Haul rental. So you heard about this? People are renting a U-Haul, then they go up to someone's house that they don't own or belong in, and they look like they're movers, but they actually are robbing the house while someone's at work. And they take the U-Haul and deliver the stuff to wherever they're going, to whatever warehouse where they're storing whatever they stole. And this is the way they're stealing now. I mean, people are clever. They're little raccoons. They go into people's houses like this and take things that don't belong to them. And people are arguing about the cops. They say, why do the cops are so prejudiced and mean to everybody? Well, they're mean to robbers and people who are doing something they shouldn't be doing. That's why people are in jail. They're in jail because they did something wrong, not because of a bad lawyer, although that's the case too. See, we got this all wrong. The morality is off. That's why I'm enlightened, because I know right from wrong. That's enlightenment. That's all that is. And I know the road to Dunbar. Is that ever prestigious, boy? I don't know what we're going to do with enlightening everybody in this country except to turn the media over to the people. You know, they start, and I've said this before, with all these horrible things that we're doing and stories like I'm telling you right now about stealing and racial issues, and we get everything that's wrong, and then we end it with something that someone did when they started a baseball team that made money that we sent the money to the Ukraine. You know, we end it with something very polite and wonderful, but we start by aggravating everybody. That's what we do. We aggravate people on the news, and then we get you to stay tuned to hear these horrible dramas that are put on by the pharmaceutical companies from things that we don't even know. I didn't even know we had half these diseases. I didn't know I had all these problems here. I thought I was pretty cool until I realized that I should be taking all this medication. Who's going to pay for it? The insurance companies. Who are we mad at? The insurance companies. Why do doctors not want to see you in the office? You can't even pee in a cup in a doctor's office anymore. He sends you to a specialist. That's true. I had to go pee in someone else's office. Oh, God. And what's that one that I had? I had the colonoscopy, right? Now, that's another one where you drink all this offensive fluids, and then the next day you poop, and you go in and they stick their hand up there, and you feel like a meat puppet. and they find out if you got colon cancer. There's got to be an easier way to find out without some guy sticking his hand up my ass to find out how I'm doing. But let's face it, this is the life that we're stuck with right now in modern America and modern world. And yet we got these guys who want to conquer all these countries. What are they going to do with them when they have them anyway? If they ever took over the world, what would they do with them? They'd still be doing the same thing. They'd be arguing whether we should wear a mask or not. This belongs on the governor of Florida. They should put this on his big mouth. What a piece of crap he is. The only reason he opened up the state early, and we do have a lot of virus, incidentally, here in Florida, and a return with my ex-wife. She's had COVID 2 or 3 times. The reason that he opened up the state, besides the Republican kind of belief that Trump set before the table, without getting too political, he opened it up because the biggest moneymaker in the state is Disney, and you better kiss their butts, or you're gonna have a Mickey Mouse watch. And so that's what he did. He opened up the state for. This is the reason people do things. That's why I'm bringing it up. You can't be picking a side, Republican, Democrats. You got to realize that people are selfish. And let me put this out there just for the sake of this conversation, and then we could end the Reynolds Wrap today. Putin is a prick. That's all there is to it. It's a Reynolds Wrap.